more homework help with Jen, and we're doing chapter 2 nomenclature, and we have a whole list of them now in number 71. All right, and what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to decide exactly what we're dealing with. All right, so these first three, we have CUI, CUI2, and COI2. Ooh, these look a lot similar, so let's take a look at these. Well, first of all, I'm going to work backward, this one backwards just a little bit, because I know that as a halogen, I is always 1 minus. Okay, since they are evenly balanced, that means that my copper has to be 1 plus. Copper is one of those ions that can be Cu1 or Cu2, so copper 1 or copper 2. So this, since this is 1 plus, this is copper 1 iodide. Okay. If you're using the old common names, this would be cuprous iodide from your Latin roots. Okay. Some instructors require those and some don't. If you're one of my students, I don't. Okay, the next one we have is CuI2. Well, the iodine is still just I minus, iodide. But if I have two of them, that means that my copper is now 2 plus. Okay, so this becomes copper 2 iodide. Okay, and the common name would make this cupric iodide. Okay, so now the next one, COI2. Okay, so we have I minus, again, that's going to stay the same. And if there are two of them, then that means that we have a 2 plus for the cobalt. Now, cobalt has 2 plus and 3 plus. So this is cobalt 2 iodide. And it's going to be cobaltous, if you're going with those common names. I'm just tossing them in. Okay. The next one, Na2CO3. All right, so we need to take a look at what this is. Well, we know that the sodium is always Na+. And since there's two of them, then we need to have a 2 minus on our CO3. So we write that in, CO3 2 minus. Okay, if we look at our ion list, we see that CO3 2 minus is carbonate. So this becomes sodium carbonate. Okay. Now this next one, NaHCO3, this is very, very similar. We still have an Na plus, but we only have one of them, and that's because we have this special ion, HCO3 minus. There's a little hydrogen stuck on our carbonate. Okay, so the IUPAC name for this is sodium, and then the anion is a 2-word, hydrogen carbonate. So we would say sodium hydrogen carbonate. The common name for this is something very, very recognizable. It's sodium bicarbonate. If you're in my class, either of those is acceptable. Sodium bicarbonate is baking soda. Okay. But if you have a teacher that really wants those IUPAC names, then you would want hydrogen carbonate specifically. All right, now the next one, S4N4. Oh goodness, this doesn't look like an ionic compound at all. And the reason I know that is because there is no metal. We have a nonmetal and a nonmetal. Okay, so that means that what I need to do is I need to use my rules for naming molecules, covalent compounds. So this becomes tetra sulfur tetra nitride. Okay, and the tetras are for the 4s. Okay, so let's look at this next one, SF4. So this is just plain sulfur. We never use mono on the first one. And we have 4 fluorines, tetrafluoride. Sulfur tetrafluoride. Okay. All right, and again, I knew that I needed to use these prefixes on these because there was no metal. So we'll actually put a little star here that these for our covalent compounds. Okay, now if we look at the next one, NaOCl, oh, we see a metal again, so we're back to our ionic compounds. So we would separate this out. We say, okay, well I have my Na plus. I always like to go with the ions I know first. And then we have OCl, and we know that it has to be OCl minus because that's how we balance out our sodium. That is actually one that I need to look up. And oh, you know what? On my list, it's backwards. Let's take a look here, and right there you see hypochlorite, ClO. Okay, so sometimes they might do that. They might throw something funny in like that. And so it'll be NOCl instead of NClO. And that probably has to do with the way that it bonds. And you won't really learn that till later. But that is the way the sodium will hook up more with the oxygen than the chlorine. Okay, so this becomes sodium hypochlorite. Okay. All right, now the next one, BaCrO4. So we start out with barium. Okay, and barium is an alkaline earth metal, so it's 2+. I could also get that looking at my ion list. And then I have CrO4, and this needs to be 2- to balance out that 2+, because you see it's a 1-to-1 ratio. Okay, and CrO4, 2- is chromate. Okay, so this becomes barium chromate. All right. Now the next one, NH4NO3. Okay, so, ooh, I could look at this nice and say, well, wait a minute, is this a covalent compound? Because it has no metal in it. It doesn't, but it has our one and only non-metal polyatomic cation, and that's NH4 plus, which is the ammonium ion. And then we have our standard NO3 minus nitrate, which we'll see a lot throughout this year. Okay, so this one is my ammonium nitrate.